Hi, I am Sampath Rajapaksha. I will be conducting the automated API deployment session. In this session, we are going to deploy an API from the Swagger definition to both WSO2 API Gateway as an API Microgateway as well in the Kubernetes cluster created in the US region. So first, let's get some idea regarding both type of gateways. The API Microgateway is a simplified version of the API Gateway which fits into the microservice architecture very well. Some of its characteristics such as its immutability and the ephemeral nature and low resource consumption, efficiency and fast booting time help users to implement better deployment strategies including the hybrid API management. And most importantly, WSO2 API Manager allows developers to use micro gateway while the battle-proven API standard gateway and other components are also used in your deployments. The micro gateway natively supports scaling in highly decentralized environments such as in microservice architecture. It is also capable of operating in a lockdown environment such as in an IoT device since connectivity to the API management system from micro gateway is not mandatory. So in the Kubernetes, it's more usable to use a micro gateway instead of the standard Synapse gateway. But for this POC, we have deployed both type of gateways in the Kubernetes to showcase this scenario. So the WSO2 API Manager addresses the issue of API automation by providing a developer-centric solution, WSO2 API Controller, aka API CTL tool, which plays a key role in the automation pipeline. It can seamlessly integrate environment-related configuration and also create API project from Swagger or Open API specifications, opening a gate to a fully automated API deployment with only a few steps. So the usage of WSO2 API controller as follows. It can be used to manage separate environments such as production, QA, and development, and also can list APIs and applications, create projects, import and export those APIs and applications to different environments, and also finally can generate access tokens to invoke those APIs. API operator for Kubernetes is a specific tool which can be used to deploy WSO2 API Manager and Microgateway artifacts in an Kubernetes cluster. As microservices are increasingly being deployed on Kubernetes, the need for expose these microservices as well documented and easy to consume and as managed APIs is becoming important to develop great applications. The API operator for Kubernetes makes APIs first-class citizen in the Kubernetes ecosystem. Similar to deploying microservices, you can now use this operator to deploy APIs for individual microservices or compose several microservices into individual APIs. With this, users will be able to expose their microservice as managed API in Kubernetes environment without any additional work. So it has two main tasks. The first task is to build an API microgateway container and it will push it to the Docker registry. The next task is to create the Kubernetes artifact using the uh, CRDs uh, developed for the Kubernetes environment and deploy them in the Kubernetes cluster. By using API CTL add API command, we can add a microgateway using API operator. Here as previously stated in the first task, API controller builds API microgateway container and pushes to the Docker registry. From the latest release, we have provided the option to use the AWS ECR repository as well. But in the POC, we are using the Docker registry. Then as the second task, APM operator utilizing already defined APM CRDs creates the relevant deployments, port services, and HPA, and deploy the microgateway into the Kubernetes cluster. So let's move on to the demo. First, we need to connect our API CTL tool with the API Manager environment to import API. So we have the Central Europe region deployed in all-in-one API Manager node, and we'll add an environment using API CL tool to connect with the central node. So this is the central node currently we have. So the API we are going to add is the vehicle info US sample2 API. So it is not currently available in the current environment. As you can see, so we are going to add that to the deploy that API to the U region publisher node. So first of all, we will add a new environment called demo environment using the API CTL tool. So as you can see, we have successfully added the new environment, demo environment. And next, we are going to initialize the vehicle info sample2 project by providing the open API's Swagger definition, and it will be in a published state, not in the creator state. So let's initialize the vehicle info sample2 project. As you can see in this directory, we have the Swagger YAML file and a previously created API project as well. So the new project will be come as vehicle info sample2. As you can see, by using the API CTL init command, we have initiated a new project called vehicle info sample2 API. If you can see, a new directory has been added to the system folder which we have defined. So the next step in deploying that API to the standard gateway is to import that API to the previously defined environment, which is the demo environment 2, providing the environment as -c demo environment, and import by using the import API command. So we are in the process of importing that now newly created API project to the demo environment. If you can see the publisher node, we should be able to see the newly created vehicle info sample2 API. So this is the newly created API. So it has been deployed in all the gateways which we have provided here, but also can be deployed in a separate and individual gateways as well. So we have successfully deployed API to the standard gateway. Now let's go to the developer portal and try to invoke that newly created API. So I have created an application called SAMJWT, and in that we can see it has already a subscription for vehicle info US JLR, which was created, API created previously. Here we can see the vehicle info US sample 2 API, which was created right now. So let's subscribe that into the application. So it has come to the subscription for the application. Now let's create a JWT token to invoke the newly created API. So in here, we are going to invoke the newly created API by providing the access token created from the dev portal. So in here, we have provided the base path vehicle info sample to for the curl command. As you can see, the response comes as this for the vehicle info entities vehicle ID 25. So we have the backend has this, and we can invoke that backend directly by using this curl command. So for the vehicle ID 25, we get the same response as we get from the invoking the API. So next step is to deploy that API as a microgateway. So the command to add that as a microgateway is a API-CTL add API command, and by using the same Swagger YAML. So let's add the API as the microgateway. So as you can see, we have the Swagger YAML. We can import, deploy that vehicle info sample 2 API as a microgateway in the Kubernetes cluster by using the following command. So it's creating the config max and the relevant CRDs and deploy the vehicle info sample 2 API. So if we can see the Kubernetes environment for ports, you should be able to see the vehicle info sample 2. This is the first job that I have stated in the presentation, Kaniko job. So this is not still in the deployed state. This is the first step in the deployment. So in the Kaniko job, it will create a microgateway container and deploy that in the Docker registry. So in the next step, it will deploy the vehicle info sample to API. So as you can see, we have successfully up and running a vehicle info sample 2 pod for microgateway. Now let's see the external IP so that we can invoke that newly created API. So this is the external IP for newly created API. We will use that. and we have the vehicle info sample to base path. So we will invoke this API using the same token created previously. So as you can see, we have successfully get the same response for the by invoking the vehicles ID 25 endpoint. So we have successfully deployed both an API using a standard definition in both standard gateway as well as in the micro gateway. So that's it for the this session.